Best. Thank you so much for all you do. Okay, so real talk before we even get into our episode today. This morning, this actual morning, or during this week, I had a little talk with my daughter about school. She does not like school, right? So I'm
Mhm.
sitting there with script in hand, about to tell you about how to handle this situation, and I'm living this in real time. So if this episode feels personal today, that's because it absolutely is. And welcome to the Parent Support Circle, guys. I'm Curtis, and with my great host RJ is here today, and we are going to talk about one of the most requested topics in our community: how to motivate your child to actually care about school again. Let's get into it. All right, RJ. Before we get dive in, I have to know: did Josh or Armanda ever just stop caring about school, like full stop? Couldn't fake it anymore?
Oh, did they? Oh, I think about Josh probably in the seventh grade.
Mm-hmm.
Seventh grade, Curtis. The boy was doing everything except for his homework, right? He had a whole system. He'd have the textbook open, pencil in hand, looked like he was studying.
Mm-hmm. I see.
But yeah, but he's sleeping, right? Straight up asleep with his eyes open. I still don't know how he did it. I'm impressed and furious all at the same time, right?
Well, that sounds like a pretty crazy skill, but not very good skill. But it still sounds like a good skill, right?
A life skill probably, he probably uses it in meetings right now, right? That's an entirely different episode, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So here's the story that kind of anchors today's episode. And we hear this from parents in the parent support community consistently. Picture this. It's 7:43 in the morning on a Monday. You're at the door, your daughter's in bed, phone in hand, watching slime videos. Like what? Like really?
Yeah, of course, live videos, right? Those were so popular, weren't they?
Yeah, I think well my kid still likes it, so. But for some reason whatever videos they're watching, your mom says, your parent will say, "Hey, you're going to be late for school." And your daughter says, "I know, mom, but do you care?" And the daughter goes, "Not really."
That hurts.
Yeah, that's right. And this mom, for an example, Dana, she did what all of us do at 7:45 in the morning. She Googled it.
Listen, Google has gotten more parenting questions at 7 a.m. than all the therapists alive.
Yeah, no kidding. That's facts for sure. So today we're answering the question, or the questions, perhaps, for Dana or for anybody else in our community. And honestly, for myself, after this morning, why do kids stop caring? And what can we actually do about it?
Hmm.
Right? So, RJ, first thing first, I want to address, and this connects back to our actual accountability episode. Remember that one?
Yep.
Yep, where we talked about not leading with blame is the assumption that when a kid stops engaging in school, it's because they're lazy.
Right. And we said the same thing about consequences, right?
Yep,
The behavior is always telling you something, right? Always, always.
exactly. So the question isn't why won't they try if that was easy to be shifted because kids don't just wake up one day and decide school doesn't matter. Something happened somewhere along the line, right?
Right. Yeah. I remember Amanda hit the wall in like ninth grade, and literally she did, right? Well, it seems like it. We
Yeah,
found out that it wasn't that she stopped caring. She was terrified of failing, right? And trying
right.
felt more dangerous than not trying. Because if she didn't try, she could tell herself she just didn't try. But if she tried and still failed, who
That's
who
right.
knows what
That's
that
right.
means?
Yeah, for sure. And that's a much harder thing to sit with, right? Being a failure at something, no doubt.
Exactly. And once I understood this, the whole conversation changed.
Yep. Yep, that's right, RJ. So let's run through this quickly. The real reason kids disengage because this matters. Number one, boredom. The work feels pointless or unchallenging.
Yeah, and we talked about this in our natural consequences episode too, right?
Yep.
Kids need to see the so what. If there's no so what, they check out.
Hmm. Yep. And if you guys want to check any of our episodes, just go check the YouTube channel, Curtis Leung on YouTube. You can check all the different videos that we do. There's actually shorts and the long version, so you can find what you need to there, right? So number
Mhm,
two, overwhelm. If it feels too hard and not trying is safer than failing, that's a men's situation right there. Number three,
mhm.
something social, drama, exclusion, anxiety about fitting in, which is a lot of kids at that age probably have. So RJ, how often do you think it's actually social when we think it's academic?
I think it's more social than we realize more often
Hmm.
than not. Because kids don't just say, I'm not doing my homework because Jalen isn't talking to me anymore.
Yeah,
They just stop doing the homework and we don't know
yeah,
why.
they, yep, that's right. They sure do. And number four, they lost their why. Nobody's helped them connect school to anything that actually they want. So number five, exhaustion. Sleep deprivation is real and it wrecks motivation. Number six, and we have to name this, mental health. Anxiety and depression show up as apathy all the time.
Right. And that's why, that last one there is it can't be our first move, right? As
Right,
parents to lecture. We need to observe first, try to know what's going on before we respond or react.
right. So let's do a quick little check in here, guys. Before you try to fix the motivation problem, spend a week just observing your kid and asking gentle questions, such as what do they say about school? What do they not say about
Hmm.
school? You're actually learning more in 1 week than in months of pushing. So just
Yeah.
like observe your child. It sounds good, right?
Yeah.
So let's do a little dad joke break. What do you think, RJ?
Sure.
All right. I need you to help me out with something. Why did the math book look so stressed?
Oh, I know this one because it had too many problems, right? Just like our kids.
That's right. It's a classic joke with a little twist there on the end, right? Awesome. All right, guys. Hope you got that joke. Let's move forward here. So let's talk about strategy number one in more detail, and that is this one that I wish someone had told me 3 years ago. Stop trying to sell your kid on the future. They're not going to buy it.
Hmm. They literally can't buy it, right? Their brains aren't built for abstract future consequences yet. The prefrontal
Yep,
cortex still under construction.
that's right. So we talked about this in our brain development episode. The tween and teen brain is wired for right now. So you need this for college kids, college lands. Oh, sorry, back up there. You need this college lands that with 0% with 12-year-olds.
Absolutely, 0%, right? They're not thinking about college when they're in their teens or tweens.
Nope, they're just the right now, pretty much. So what does land? Relevance? Right now. Today, if your daughter wants to be a YouTuber, hey, did you know that successful creators use analytics to figure out their content, how their content
Mhm.
performs? That's statistics. Your math class is literally teaching you how to read data.
That's a good one, right? Truly. Josh was obsessed with video games, and I used to just say
Yep,
video games aren't a career, which, first of all, is completely wrong. I learned
yep,
that later he could make a career out of video gaming. And second of all, it shuts down the conversation every single time.
absolutely, because they're thinking you're being bossy or whatever, not understanding them,
Right.
right?
Yeah. So what I should have said was the people who build those games, they
Hmm.
studied physics to make movement feel real, and they write
Hmm.
a lot for storylines, right?
Oh yeah,
That would
yep.
have opened up a door instead of slamming one, and could have helped him understand this is what I need to do in order to work on these gaming.
Yeah, that's right, RJ. That's quite the shift, you know. You're not tricking them, you're helping them to see that school isn't random obstacle. It's connected to what they already care about. And that framing change, it can really literally wake up a kid. Like for my daughter wants to become a voice actor right now. Says, hey, you need English, you need how to like,
Hmm.
understand things, right? How to do a story, how to
Yeah.
do other things than just what you see on like YouTube or cartoons, right? So
Yeah.
let's try something this week if you guys want to check this out. Find out what your kid's into right now. Really into, like I just did. Then Google their interest, obviously, and add plus skill and see what comes up. You never know, right? So I'm gonna try that later
Mm.
after the show. I forgot to do this earlier, so should be interesting. You'll find that at least one school subject hiding in there. Bring it up casually, not a lesson, just a conversation. All right,
Yeah.
all right. Let's move forward here. Strategy number two is something that connects directly back to how have you heard conversation episode. How hard how to have hard conversation. This language we use at home around grades shapes how our kids think about their own intelligence.
Yeah. This is a quick Carol Dweck growth mindset stuff,
Yep,
right?
that's right. So exactly. First, fixed mindset says I gotta see I'm bad at this. Growth mindset says I gotta see what do I need to do different next time to make it better. And
Yeah.
And the way we talk about this at home is the biggest driver of which one they will develop.
Mhm. So instead of why did you get a C, you need better. What do you say?
Well, you could say, what was hard about the last test? What would you do differently? And RJ, I have to ask, the comparison trap. Be honest. Do you ever compare Josh and Amanda to each other?
Yeah, I plead the fifth on that one.
Yeah, I take that as a yes. Right on.
So I'll say that our man, this what I'll say is Armanda will let me know, right? Very
Yep.
clearly how that landed. And she's not wrong. When I said your brother always got this in his math class, right? What she
Yep.
heard was you're not as good as your brother. And
Mm.
she, of course, she just shuts down at that point.
Yep. Yeah, because why would you try hard at something you've already been told you're not good at?
Yes.
Um, yeah. So the parent community, we are begging you, do not compare your kids to their siblings or their classmates or some imaginary version of themselves from 2 years ago.
Yeah, instead, try things like I noticed you spend extra time on that project, right?
Hmm.
That kind of effort is what builds real skill. So you can see the difference there, right? You're telling them how they can improve, but you noticed how hard they're working.
Yep, that's right. That's the difference of night and day, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's get to another dad joke. Just keep this fun and interesting, right? So why did the student eat his homework?
Because the teacher told them it was a piece of cake, right? Which honestly sounds like
Boom.
a growth mindset to me.
Yep, that's right. It is, I think. All right. So strategy number three. And this one flips everything we've instinctively want to do as parents. We expect our kids to get motivated first, then succeed. But it actually goes the other direction.
Yeah, success first, motivation second.
Exactly, RJ. And that they need to taste a win before they'll invest effort. So your job is to help engineer one. And I want you to be clear. This isn't about lowering standard. It's about finding an entry point.
Yeah, this is what we talked about on our natural consequences.
Hmm.
Again, sometimes you have to set up the conditions for success before the lesson sticks.
Right on, RJ. That's right. So what does engineering a win look like? Well, help them prep for one quiz they're actually having a shot at doing well on. Ask the teacher to give them an assignment where they can show how they're actually good at. Celebrate a complete homework session, not just the grade.
And find an elective or club where they'll feel confident.
Yep, absolutely. And here's an example that I love. A 13-year-old boy named Jordan hated his school across the board. His mom, Keisha, found out that his science class was doing a project on wildlife. Jordan was obsessed with birds, so hey, there you go.
Birds. A kid obsessed with birds, that's specific. I truly love that.
Yep, right on. So Keisha encouraged him to go all in on that project. He got an A. Awesome, right? And his
Yeah.
science grade was the first one he checked at the end of the semester. One win, and that's all it took to crack open the door. So that one opening helped him do very well throughout the next school year or throughout the rest of the school year, right?
Yeah, I've seen this with Josh, right? The moment he
Yep.
got praised for something school related, genuinely praised, not like good job, buddy, his posture changed, right? You could totally
Hmm.
see it. The pride that a child feels when they get congratulated or they acknowledge a win
Yep.
truly changes their persona.
Yeah, 100%. So, okay, so let's go on to strategy number four. This one connects directly to our getting your kid to open up episode. The one about the 25 questions. Hopefully, you guys have signed up for that. If you need it, let me know in the comments. I can get that over to you. That actually started real conversation because here's the problem: kids stop talking about school because every conversation about school turns into a stress session. Stress
Hmm.
session.
Tell me about it, Curtis. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it happens a lot here too. But then you just gotta switch some questions around, right? They
Yeah.
mention one thing, and suddenly there's lecture, a plane, and three follow-up questions. So they learn just to bring it up.
Yep. Amanda used to do this too, right? And where she'd give me the information in dribs and drabs to test how I'd react, right?
Yep.
Because again, I wasn't good at responding. I was more reacting. So
Hmm.
she'd have to test the waters. Like she'd say, we have a test coming up. and
Yep.
wait to see if I went into a full problem solving mode, right? If I did, that was it. She'd go quiet. She was fishing for that support.
Yep. That's pretty smart of you, RJ. So she was running threatening assessment on you.
Absolutely. And she still does it, right? Because
Oh yeah.
again, I wasn't the best at responding. So she has to test the waters, see what kind of, fish she's going to catch, basically.
Yep. Yep. So the no stress check-ins is designated time where you ask about school and your only job is to listen. No fixing, no problem solving, no advice unless they ask. You're a wall they can talk to, not a project manager.
Yeah. So give me a look. I've learned some things, but what
Yep.
does that actually look like for the parents out there?
Well, yeah, sure. So pick a low pressure moment. So driving to practice, folding laundry together. Maybe they're making tacos on a Friday night. Ask one opening question. What was the most interesting that happened this week? Or if you could drop one class with no consequence, which one would that be? And then you just listen.
That second question is genius because the answer will tell you everything.
Yep, that's right. It really does. So back to Dana and Maya. Dana started doing this on Sunday grocery runs. No phone, no agenda, just the two of them and a cart full of snacks or whatever groceries they needed. Within 3 weeks, Maya was bringing up school stuff unprompted.
hmm One of my one of our community moms said something beautiful in the comments. She said her daughter tells her things in the car that she'd never say at the dinner table. And we've talked about that, right? The
Yep, yep,
side by side conversation
hmm
instead of face to face makes it a lot easier for people to
yep.
open up.
Yeah, you're not eyeballing each other, I guess, or just feel insecure. So
Yeah,
there's actually research. There's actually research behind that. Side by side conversation reduce the social pressure of eye contact. So drive them anywhere, somewhere.
anywhere, right? Anywhere but school, apparently.
Well, don't talk about it on the way to school. Well, unless you have a far drive, but that's a different story, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep moving along here. So, two more quick important ones. Strategy number 5, get curious about their teachers. Kids who connect with even one adult at school perform better across the board, even in other classes. I found this with my daughter. She
Mhm.
had the same teacher 2 years in a row, and she did exceptionally well. You know what I mean? So, and this year it's a
Yeah,
new
that's
teacher, and
true,
she's had a
right?
hard time. Yeah, she had a hard time this year with that.
Yep. Josh had a teacher in eighth grade,
Yep.
and that man changed Josh's whole relationship with school, right? Just
hmm
by being the kind of teacher who remembered what Josh said the week before.
Yep, that's it. That's the whole thing. One adult who sees them. So ask it, is there any teacher you actually like? And find out why. Because the why tells you what environment helps them learn. Ask them, is there a class where they feel totally lost? That's your stuck point.
Yeah, and I think learning the pain points and the joy points, right?
hmm
These are going to help move people forward, right? So, if they say no teacher ever listens to me,
Yep.
take that seriously. Reach out to the school counselor, not to
uh
complain, but to ask how you can help your kid feel more engaged in school.
Yep. That's pretty good. So let's segue into strategy number 6, which is the most unglamorous one on the list. So check the basics: sleep, food, and screens.
The boring stuff that isn't actually boring at all.
Exactly. You can't motivate a sleep deprived kid, right? Their brains cannot consolidate memory or regulate emotion properly. It is not a character flaw, it's a biological, and we know most tweens and teens are not getting their 8 hours, probably because they're up watching
Uh,
screens and whatnot.
yep, yep, I can speak to that personally, right? Josh was staying up until 2 a.m. on his phone, and then of course can't focus in school the next day, right? You
Right.
think it's attitude, but really it's just exhaustion.
Yeah, that's right. Attitude or exhaustions, they're both worth asking. Asking some with food and they are eating breakfast. Brain fuel matters. And screens before bed, the blue light disrupts their melatonin and tanks deep sleep. One fix you can do is actually change the screen so gets rid of the blue. That helps out too, right? And you
Mhm.
might show a little shift in the performance a little bit, maybe. But actually, I think
Yeah.
eliminating screens is the best. So it's a quick baseline check in here, guys. So make sure your kids get 8 to 9 hours a night. Most aren't getting it, but try to push it to get there. Food. Are they eating breakfast before school? It's a very key point, right?
Hmm.
Screens, how many hours before bed are they on the phone? Are they coming right home after school and staying till bedtime? Or do you give them a break, like an hour before bed, which I think,
Yeah.
as adults is probably a good idea. So just pick one of these to address this week and let us know in the comments what happens.
Yeah. Just
All right.
one, right?
Yep. That's right, RJ. So let's bring it home. Dana didn't figure a magic fix. She didn't need one. She started with one question on Sunday night grocery run. If you could drop one class and not get in trouble, which would that be?
Let me guess. Maya actually answered this one.
That's right. She answered the one. She said English, surprisingly, but the teacher reads essays out loud in class, and she's terrified of being embarrassed. Underneath the not really was a very scared kid.
Hmm. That gets to me, right? Because that's such a real thing. Kids will
Yep,
perform indifference to protect themselves from embarrassment. It's
that's
actually
right.
a coping strategy.
Yeah, and we talked about this in our apology episode too. Sometimes what looks like attitude on the outside is vulnerability on the inside. Didn't email the teacher, not to complain, but to share that Maya had some anxiety about being on the spot. The teacher adjusted. Maya's stress dropped. Her English grade went from a D to a B. Awesome, in 6 weeks even.
Just 6 weeks.
Yep, that's right, 6 weeks. Dina also swapped grade talk to effort talk. Found out Maya was
Mm-hmm.
actually thought geography was interesting. Started leaving a snack on Maya's desk during homework time without saying a word about homework.
Hmm. That last one. This is good, right? No words, just a snack, a little acknowledgement that you're doing good.
Yep, that's right. Small moves, real results, and Dana said it best. My kid wasn't broken. She was disconnected, and a reconnection took patience, not pressure.
Yeah. Tell us more about that one, right? Like,
Yep,
big deal there.
for sure. All right, guys. Before we close out, RJ, what's your one takeaway from today? If a parent is driving home right now, listening to this, and they're in the thick of it with their kid, what would you do? What would you want them to hear?
Hmm. I want to hear them that they're not. I want them to hear that when they're listening to this podcast, it means they're already doing the most important thing,
Yep,
right? They're paying attention. They're looking for a better way instead of just reacting. Their kid has a parent like that, right? That's
yep.
important. That matters more than any single strategy we can give you on this show.
That's right, RJ. That's it. That's exactly it. Pick one moment from today's episode, just one. Try it consistently for 2 or maybe 3 weeks, and then you'll see a shift, even a small one. Come, tell us about it. Drop it in the parent support community, either here on YouTube or
Yeah.
Facebook. And I also have a community you can join at parentsupportcircle.com, and you can join our group there
Mhm.
as well if you like.
Yeah. Your story might be the exact thing about that another parent might need to hear, right? And we want to share it on this show. So, um, again,
That's right.
tell us your stories. Ask your questions, and we can bring it to the show.
Yeah, we're all in together, guys. And this is the whole point of the circle. You've got this.
Yeah, you got this, and we've got you.
All right. So if this episode hit home, share it with a parent who needs it. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought about the show, either here on Facebook or YouTube. Would be perfect. If you genuinely want to help others and you haven't grabbed your free guide of 50 questions that actually start real conversation with your kid, grab it today. At Just leave a comment. I'll send it over to you. Because if you join the group, I can also do that as well. Just go to parentsupportcircle.com and I can get it over to you.
Yeah. And if you're new here, go back and check out our episodes. We've already, just in today's episode, shared about 4 different episodes where we've dropped value bombs for you, right? Things about fair consequences, natural consequences, how to apologize when you overreact. All of these connected directly to what we talked about today.
Yeah, awesome, guys. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell on YouTube and like and follow us on Facebook. I'm Curtis,
And I'm RJ,
and this is
and
the
this
Parent
was the
Sports
Parent
Circle.
Support Circle.
And we'll see you guys
See
next
you
week.
next week.
Thanks.